Hey everybody, welcome into The Spread, Nesson.com's football picks podcast. I'm Nesson.com's Mike Cole, joined as always by Andre Kachaturian and Ricky Doyle. Gentlemen, how are we?
Doing well.
I'm a little concerned. Someone's running down the hallways outside of the studio.
We're under siege.
Very loud footsteps. Other than that, I'm doing great.
The pocket is collapsing on us. We're hearing the pressure.
Somebody is handling something far more important than what we're about to do. And what we're about to do is make some football picks against the spread, NFL Week 10.
It's a good segue.
Well, I am a professional, sort of. Not really. We'll do the three best games, or the three games that are kind of good, that featuring teams we haven't talked too much about this season. And then we'll do locks, upsets, and then we will hit the Dusty Trail. Dusty Road? Dusty Trail.
Be Dusty Roads.
Dusty
American
Roads,
Dream.
Yes, exactly. So we'll do that. Anyway, before we do that, let's review how we did a week ago.
Ricky, you had a nice stretch of 3 weeks where you just dominated everyone.
Hey, live fast, die hard.
I hope you were putting actual money on those games, and I hope you didn't put any money on the games in Week 9, because you went 4-9-1. I went 7-6-1, and Mike 8-5-1. That means, Mike, you're only 4 games behind Ricky for first place, despite all of Ricky's dominance.
Yeah, I've backed up my
Week 8 to
my gruffness.
Week 6 to Week 8.
Yeah. It's a marathon, not a sprint. That's what I was trying to tell you guys last week.
The New York Marathon was 2 days ago.
Very timely. Yeah. And in case you're wondering, I'm now up to 20-7 with my weekly picks on the spread. Ricky, 1 game behind, 19-8. Andre bringing up the rear, 15-12, 24-21 overall.
I wonder what our record is when we all pick the same game.
It's probably not great. That's not
yeah.
good.
I think I think that was the case of the London game last week.
I can actually.
I felt very good about that pick too.
I did too.
Yeah.
It made no sense. The Texans a pathetic showing.
And we all picked the Vikings over the Chiefs too.
All right.
And the Chiefs covered.
Yeah. So I would say we're about the midway point, right? I think most teams have played 8 games.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be interesting to go back and look at our season preview show before we get into this week's games. It was me and Andre, because Ricky was on sabbatical, doing God knows what.
Traversing on the West Coast.
Seeing this
he gave his
fine
picks
country.
in Week 1 though.
What?
He gave his predictions.
Oh yeah, I will find.
I don't think anybody was really paying attention to me.
Anyway, so AFC East. Let's run it down real quick. We both had the Patriots
to go to the Super Bowl.
No, I had Vikings.
That's right. We both had the Patriots winning the East. That's checking out pretty good. Both had the Steelers winning the North. Not great. In the AFC South, Andre, you had Houston. That's looking pretty good. I had Tennessee. We both had Kansas City in the West, so I think that was working out pretty good. The wild cards, I'm going to try to forget about my wild card picks. I picked Cleveland and the Jets to win the wild cards.
I had the Jets in there.
You also had the Jets and the Chargers.
The Chargers have an outside shot.
That's not working out very good. In the NFC East, we both had Philadelphia winning, so that's probably not great. You had the Bears. You were big on the Bears in preseason. You had them winning the North. I had the Packers. Those are both up for grabs, but I'm looking a little bit better there. The South, we face planted with the Falcons, a team I was very high on. In the West, Andre, nice call with the 49ers. I had the Rams. That's still open, but I like your pick a lot there. And we both had the Saints and Cowboys as our remaining wild card teams, with the Patriots winning the Super Bowl. Both of us had that. You had it winning over the Bears. I had it winning over the Eagles. Also, we had our bet slip. You had the Giants over 6 wins. They are 2-6. They're going to need some work. Tom Brady, was your MVP. That is not going to happen. We had Matthew Stafford leading the league in passing yardage. If you could look that up for me, that's probably not bad. You're probably right in there somewhere. And I had you also had you went off the board, made up your own bet, and said that Cam Newton would retire. And I think that's actually kind of interesting to hit on that on the very day that Cam Newton got placed on the IR. So who knows?
Matt Stafford 4th in passing yards right now, less than 110 yards behind Phillip Rivers, but he's also 4th. But the 3 quarterbacks ahead of him have all played 9 games.
There you go.
He's only played 8 games.
So you're kind of you're looking good, I would say. All right, for mine, for my bet slip, I had Aaron Rodgers under 4,250 passing yards. Feeling very good about that. I think that's gonna. He's had 16 passing yards.
He's 5th in the NFL.
What is it per game though? 276. What's 276 times 16? Who cares? It's gonna go under. Especially as the weather gets worse. I had Houston under 8.5 wins, not looking great. I took a bet on Atlanta to win the
76
NFC.
and 16 is 4,416. It's over.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Well, the weather's going to get worse.
Yeah,
I picked Atlanta to win the NFC Championship at 15-1. Not feeling great about that. If there was ever a time to double down, it might be now. I had Devontae Freeman over 840 rushing yards. Could you look that up real quick for me? I don't like
Devontae Freeman.
Still playing?
333 rushing yards.
Hey!
Outside shot.
All it takes is a 150-yard rushing game to be back in that. And I also had Mike Evans to lead the league in receiving yardage. That is...
I'll check.
You might be in
That's not terrible. He is second. He's 33 yards behind Michael Thomas.
So that is with a goose egg, too. There was 1 week where he didn't even have a catch.
Yeah, so and then I had, this one is not going to come to fruition, I don't think. Sony Michel. Weird things have happened. I had Sony Michel to lead the league in rushing touchdowns. He is among 5 guys tied for 5th with 6, all trailing Christian McCaffrey, who has 10 rushing touchdowns. So I guess that was a long way of saying we kind of knew what we were talking about, but not really at all. This is an entire crapshoot.
I like the Cam Newton.
I will say,
it's still very much in play.
Your Cam Newton retiring prop is much closer to cashing than my Falcons to win the NFC Championship prop. Or really even your Bears to win the North at this point. So it's not the worst bet you've ever made, probably.
Cam Newton retired. Anyway.
All right, let's
felt
get
very strongly about that too.
You do.
I remember you mentioned that obviously in the course of the show, but I think you were beating that drum around the office as well. I was like, does he know something? Does he have boots on the ground?
All right, Rams Steelers.
Okay, yeah, week 10. Rams 3.5-point favorites coming off of their bye, going into Heinz Field to play the Steelers. This is a 4:25 kick on Sunday afternoon. Pittsburgh, nice win for them, winning at home against Indy. Steelers, by the way, would they start 0-3?
Yeah.
And they're 4-1 since then, and the one loss coming in overtime to Baltimore. So I am not a big Mike Tomlin fan, but I will give him plenty of credit for the job that he's done with that team. They've been fantastic since getting Minkah Fitzpatrick. Just a laundry list of injuries that continues to get worse as James Conner just can't get healthy. But as it stands right now, they are getting 3.5 points at home against the Rams. Ricky, who do you like here?
See, with the Rams coming off the bye, back-to-back wins going into the bye, I do think they're better coached. Overall, I think they probably have the better personnel for, especially when you factor in the injuries that you mentioned. I hate laying the points here with the Steelers at home. I do think, as you mentioned, that defense has gotten a lot better ever since really the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade. That secondary really just eliminating the deep passing attack. Obviously, the pass rush has been there. 5th in sacks, 4th in sack percentage by the 49ers, Panthers, and Patriots, all who have elite defenses. So I think that defense is pretty legit. And I do think that's going to cause some problems this Sunday against the Rams because Jared Goff, you look, of the 30 quarterbacks with at least 200 dropbacks, Goff ranks 26th in completion percentage, 25th in adjusted completion percentage, 21st in passer rating. Basically, I think that the Steelers, assuming they can stop the run, which they've shown an ability to do this season, they're going to make Jared Goff have to beat them on the road. So I'll take the points in this situation. Although, like I said, of the 3 games, I think this is the one I feel least confident about.
I'm taking the points. I'm a little more confident in it than you are.
Convince me because I need a little.
The Rams, they were in London before their bye week.
Okay.
They were in London. It's far from Los Angeles. It's like an 11-hour flight. Afterwards, bye week. People go on vacation. Maybe someone went to the Caribbean. Maybe someone went to Cabo. Maybe someone stayed in LA. Regardless, they have to fly all the way back to LA. Now you're going all the way to Pittsburgh. That's a lot of travel.
It's interesting, not to interrupt, but what guys do on the bye after the London trip. Because it's got to be.
They go to like Germany or something.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah,
keep Euro trip.
They just around. They all go their different ways in Europe. Yeah.
Regardless, it's a lot of travel.
Sorry, yeah.
And now they're going to the East Coast. Well, it's not the coast. It's still the Eastern time zone though. To play in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's in 3.5 points. It's a lot of points. That half point really was a slam dunk alley-oop for me.
The old hook.
Steelers number 1 in pressures with 97 this year. The Jared Goff stats you mentioned were fantastic. I think the Steelers defense is going to cause a lot of disruption for Goff. And all the problems that Goff has, he's up against the Steelers defense that second most takeaways with 22. So they're going to force some turnovers in this game. Mason Rudolph, he's really come together last 4 games, 6 touchdowns, 2 picks. He's not making mistakes. He's a nice game manager. And at home, I like that, especially if you're getting points. So I'm not overthinking this one too much. You're getting one of the best defenses. Sorry, the best defense since week 4. Fewest yards per play allowed at home since week 4, and you're getting points. It's just don't overanalyze. It's just obvious.
One of the things that kind of swayed me in the Steelers' favor, just real quick, was the fact that 3 of their 4 losses have come by 4 points or less too, and they've been against some decent competition: the Seahawks, 49ers, and Ravens. So they've shown an ability to hang with the big boys, I guess. I mean, whether it happens this week and whether you consider the Rams one of the big boys, I guess, is up for debate as well.
I do think it's always funny, and I notice this the most because I'm the last one to go. When we come to the same conclusion using the same numbers, but they're phrased differently. So I also am taking the Steelers. I do wonder how good the Rams actually are. Since week 2, that was their win over New Orleans. When Breeze got hurt midway through the game, they had that weird fumble return for a touchdown. I don't want to call that a fluky win, but it was kind of fluky. Since then, their wins have come at Cleveland, at Atlanta, and then in London versus the Bengals. So they haven't really – it's not a murderer's row there. And then this is where I was to Ricky's point. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh, other than New England, their losses have come to Seattle, Baltimore, and San Francisco by a combined 9 points, which is exactly what you said.
I mean,
right? I got to get my stuff in. No, I do think I'd like a do-over on any of my Minkah Fitzpatrick trade takes. I thought that was kind of a weird move for them, considering the direction in which it appeared they were heading.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone in that either.
They were bad, and it looked like they were going to get worse. Which would have improved their first-round pick, yet they traded it away. But what I forgot to consider is that Minkah Fitzpatrick is really good. And since they acquired him, I think it was 6 games. Opposing quarterbacks have a 63.6 completion percentage, averaging just 5.7 yards per attempt, and a 74.6 passer rating. Opposing QBs when targeting Fitzpatrick, they've only done it 13 times. He didn't even get thrown at this past week. The interception, he had this pick 6, came on a ball that he undercut. Just 7 receptions on those 13 targets, a 36.2 passer rating. Also, Brandon Cooks doesn't sound like he's going to play. If he does, it would be a surprise. He's dealing with a concussion. So that's just kind of, you start going down that depth chart. It's a little more tricky, as we've seen in the past with the Rams when they don't have those weapons. Also, Pittsburgh, one of the better tackling teams in the league. They're allowing the 3rd fewest yak, and the Rams live off of that. They have the 3rd highest yards after catch this season. So if you're putting them in a tough spot where they have to go 3rd and long, I like that. And the Pro Football Focus numbers love the Steelers. What is it? It's ridiculous.
Their defense really right up near the top.
I do this thing where I just put them I put their pass rush numbers and their pass block numbers in a spreadsheet, and I average them out. There's not scientific at all, but I just like to see what it is. They have the highest average when you just add the 2 and divide. So that doesn't mean anything, but it just tells you that they have
very weighted.
They're high.
They're
rated high in both. Right. Yeah, they're the highest in the league.
Rams. If Steelers get past this game against the Rams and if they win,
they're going to the playoffs. If they win
I think they'll win the division because their schedule: Browns, Bengals, Browns, Cardinals. Home against the Bills.
The Ravens are good though.
And then at Jets, they can run the table.
No, they
finish Week 17 at Baltimore. That could be a game to decide the decision.
I certainly wouldn't bet on it, even if they win this week.
I'm just saying it's a good value bet.
No, yeah.
Right now,
the quarterback makes you wonder. Like the offense is, I don't know. Like they won this past week, but if they don't get, if Jacoby Brissett doesn't get hurt, if Fitzpatrick doesn't have the pick 6, I don't want to sit here and say what if, because those things happen. But
that's a tough Colts team. I'm saying their schedule rest of the way is a joke.
It gets a lot easier.
The thing with Rudolph too is I don't know if you've really seen him get better at all over the.
No, but he's a backup quarterback. I mean,
I guess I would just hope to see some sort of improvement week to week, and it's just been stagnant.
It's been,
but it hasn't really been week to week. I mean, you had the
he's been hurt. Yeah. Guys around him have been hurt. Yeah, I don't know.
I think they should go back to
they're in a weird
Hodges.
offensive situation.
They are. Yeah.
I mean, it seems like too that Juju Smith-Schuster hasn't really done a whole lot.
He probably isn't going to do anything this week either with Malcolm Peters.
It almost feels like
Jalen Ramsey.
When they do try to force it to him, it ends up hurting them more than it ends up helping them.
What's really helping both Rudolph and Hodges is the Steelers' offensive line has allowed just 8 sacks all year too. That's the league low.
Yeah, so that travels. That's going to keep you in games. Yeah. So cool.
The Rams' offensive line hasn't been great either.
No, it's been actually very bad.
Yeah, so that's
it went from a strength to a weakness year over year.
That's where that Steelers pass rush comes into play here. That maybe I'd venture to guess too, if you looked at, you mentioned those Pro Football Focus numbers. If you were to look at the discrepancy between the Steelers pass rush and the Rams pass blocking grade, is about as lopsided as you can find in terms of
the Steelers. They have as a 90.8 pass rush.
Which is number one,
I believe, and the Rams pass block 54.1, which
that could be a huge difference.
That's
in the game.
A significant mismatch at home for Pittsburgh as well.
That is the fourth worst in the NFL.
That stat interests me because the
Rams
doesn't
travel either.
Have only allowed.
That could be problematic.
Yeah,
the Rams have only allowed 12 sacks.
I know
year,
that's the thing.
Weird.
I'd love to sit down with somebody from Pro Football Focus and have them explain it a little bit more to me, because I use these numbers blindly because I just assume that somebody smarter than me knows what they're talking about, but it doesn't. I mean, that's a testament to the coaching and the play call.
So are we seeing Goff being pressured a lot and just having to rush his throws a lot? I guess that's what that means. Maybe he gets the ball out,
or missed blocks that don't matter. I don't know.
It is amazing the difference.
But I used it as my
the difference that in that offense when they don't have a workhorse to rely on. It's just everything seems so much easier when you could just give the ball to Todd Gurley X number of times like they did last season.
If you're 2nd and 4, 3rd and 2, it's a lot easier to get creative, and it's just.
So now it's just you're getting to a point where you're sort of the deficiencies are being exposed a little bit.
Definitely. Yeah, if you can pin your ears back on 3rd and long, you're.
You mentioned what was it? The 2 last wins, the Bengals and the Falcons. Good luck finding 2 worst defenses.
Well, especially pass rush.
You know what I mean?
Those teams don't generate any sort of pass rush.
Two garbage teams.
Yeah. I feel really
I like the Steelers.
If you like the Steelers,
feeling more confident about it now.
If you like the Steelers,
the pass rush.
I look at the money line too. I mean, it's just I think the Steelers have a chance to win this game. Okay, Sunday night. Wow, what do you know? Another Cowboys primetime game.
It's 3 in a row, right? Or
I think so. It's
because they had the Eagles Sunday night and they had the bye Monday night. And
so not 3 weeks in a row, but 3 games in a row.
3 games, and then they have that Thanksgiving game, which
true.
And then the week after Thanksgiving, it's a Thursday night game. I'm sure they'll get a game flexed. America's team.
I know. It's hard to argue when the ratings continue to pop. But anyway, the Cowboys are at home Sunday night against the Vikings, a potential playoff preview. The Cowboys, as it stands right now, are laying 3 points against the Vikings team that lost last week at Kansas City. Dallas, meanwhile, on a short week after throttling the Giants. A little bit of a slow start there, but they found a way to just kind of put that game on ice. Let's see. Andre, who do you like here?
I love this game. It's the yards per play differential.
Just the game in general.
It's going to be a great game. It's the yards per play differential bowl. I love that stat a lot. These are the only 2 teams in the NFL that are top 10 in yards per play and yards allowed per play. They're 2 very complete teams, and they're playing against each other. In Dallas is getting 3 points, and I'm going to take the Cowboys in this one, mainly because of just the way Ezekiel Elliott's been running the ball lately and how weak the Vikings' rush defense has been. Since week 6, they've allowed 5.5 yards per carry. It's the worst mark in the league. Ezekiel Elliott's going to feast on that rush defense. Very similar teams. I feel like they're both very run-heavy teams, but I just like Dallas at home with that run defense. And Michael Bennett, immediate impact for the Cowboys in that game on Monday night. He had 4 QB hits and the sack, or maybe pressures. He had a sack in the game. Cowboys pass rush they got Quinn back. He missed the first 2 games of the season. He's been playing well. They got DeMarcus Lawrence, Michael Bennett. This team is trending upwards in terms of a team blossoming in with their pass rush late in the season. I would invest a lot of money in the Dallas Cowboys pass rush if it was a stock in the S&P 500. But
it's not.
It's not. But instead, they can make a bet on them in this game, and I will. 3-point favorites.
Ricky.
The Cowboys, good balanced team. As for the reasons that you mentioned, the yards per play stat at home, especially if you look 7.4 yards per play at home for the Cowboys this year, far and away the best mark. Saints ranked 2nd at 6.6 yards per play. For me, it kind of comes down to just an overall trust factor too. I mean, I feel like we've sat here so many times where I've taken the Vikings and assumed that we're going to get their the best version of themselves, and just so frequently they fall flat on their face, particularly in prime time. I mean, the Kirk Cousins number that's always going to be floated out there. Right now it's up to 6-28 straight up against teams with winning records. I thought this was interesting too, looking back at the Vikings last week against the Chiefs. Kirk Cousins is 0-10-1 as the Vikings quarterback when trailing at any point in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, if this is a game in which...
That's not a team that it's easy to come back against.
No. So, I mean, if the Cowboys jump out to a lead, which, they've done several times this season, I mean, based on their early scoring, I just think it's going to be tough for the Vikings to claw back into this thing. Overall, Dallas, good on third downs, good in the red zone. You look at their early down success, far better than the Vikings. So I agree with you. This is kind of similar teams, some similar strengths and whatnot. But ultimately, I trust the Cowboys more, especially when they're at home.
And Tyron Smith being back, such a huge difference. When the Cowboys had that little 3-game losing streak, he wasn't a factor. He was hurt. He was in the lineup. He's back in the last 2 games, and look what they're playing at their potential.
Yeah. Not a lot to add to what you guys said. I'm also taking the Cowboys there. It's as Ricky was talking, it makes me think like the Cowboys are the perfect play with a lead team. If that pass rush is going to be that good, where you're put in a position where you have to throw late, and they're gonna when they get the ball back, they're gonna be able to run it with Ezekiel Elliott.
I could never get that out either.
Yeah, that's tough.
Zeke.
You have to go with Zeke.
Run defense real good for Dallas lately. They hold Saquon Barkley to 28 yards on 14 carries Monday night. They did pretty good against Philly the week before. Minnesota coming in probably without Adam Thielen as well, who is one of their better offensive players. Kind of to Ricky's points, Minnesota, I thought this was interesting, 18th when it comes to success rate on first and second down, early down success rate, according to Sharp Football Stats. While the Cowboys, third best third down defense at home this season. They're allowing 23.4% success rate, so they get off the field. Minnesota too, I think we probably overvalued them a little bit recently. When you look at their get right games or whatever, since they've gotten hot, they played New York, the Giants, who was like 26 in yards per play. They played Philly, who's got a terrible secondary. Detroit's got an awful defense, and they played the Redskins. So I look at this line and see 3 points. Are these teams really equal on a neutral field? I don't think so. So I got to lay the points here.
Well, if you look at the yards per play differential spread, the Dallas should be 6.5-point favorites.
Right, that's a pretty big number. And we're at the point in the year where I think that's worth discussing. So
just a trend too, 0-6 the Vikings against the spread and straight up in their last 6 games is an underdog. So that's another instance of them just not rising.
Which is weird because Zimmer's been a really good against the spread coach for most of his career since he took over, but I think that's obviously starting to kind of level out a little bit.
It is kind of strange too, and you think of a Mike Zimmer team, and you would assume they're sort of mentally tough, just based on sort of his coaching philosophies and whatnot, and yet this team constantly folds under pressure.
Yes,
it's weird.
Well,
it's almost like
the quarterback.
Well, I was gonna say it feels like Kirk Cousins doesn't really fit the identity of this team.
No,
their upside is so much greater with him as the quarterback than it was with Case Keenum as the quarterback. But it's just there's something there that's off.
What are you giving up to get there? It doesn't really work.
Yeah, it's just something off about that marriage.
I agree. Yeah, I mean it's been exactly what you would think too. They're right around. Yeah. They're good, not great, and they're going to win some games. They're going to lose some big games. So, alrighty. Monday night. This is a good one. Big one in the NFC West. Seahawks coming off of a overtime win against Tampa Bay. Go on the road to take on the 49ers. 49ers getting as much rest as you can between 2-week games, coming off a Thursday night game, which they barely won at Arizona, but a win's a win. They are 6.5-point favorites at home against the Seahawks. Ricky, who you on here?
I'm going to take the points in this game. I'll take the Seahawks. I think the first thing you point to is just the overall play of Russell Wilson. Obviously, 22 touchdowns and 1 interception. But I think it's a game where if you're Seattle, you want to lean on the running game a little bit. Yeah. 6th in the NFL in rush play percentage. So I think you are going to get a heavy dose of that going up against a 49ers team that has struggled a little bit against the run. That's sort of, I guess it's similar to the Patriots, where you look at what is a way we can beat this defense. And so far at this point, I do think it has been on the ground. And also, I mean, you look at the 49ers pass defense, probably the best in the NFL, but has faced the second easiest schedule in terms of pass offenses. Friend there, Warren Sharp, pointed this out. The last 7 quarterbacks that they faced: Kyler Murray, Kyle Allen, Case Keenum, Baker Mayfield, Mason Rudolph, Jared Goff, Andy Dalton. Obviously, none of those quarterbacks playing up to the caliber that Russell Wilson is. Seattle takes care of the football. Only 4 teams have fewer giveaways than the Seahawks. Only 2 teams with a better turnover differential overall. I look at some of the closest games that the 49ers have played to this point, the Steelers and Cardinals. Both those teams do a pretty good job of protecting the ball. So I don't know if Seattle's going to win outright, but getting that number of points, it's just Seattle always seems to play within that number. Whatever the number is, they play down to the number, they play up to the number. So in this instance, I'll take the points.
I like a lot of what you said, but I'm going with the 49ers. You talked about Seahawks rush defense being the Niners rush defense being bad. Seahawks rush defense allows the same amount of yards per carry. San Francisco loves to run the ball as well. They're number 1 in rush attempts. I think they're going to succeed on the ground. And stat that kind of swung it for me towards the Niners. Seahawks have allowed the 3rd most receiving yards to tight ends. George Kittle, I think, will have a monster game in this. And Seattle's wins, they're 7-2, great record. You talk about Niners competition. Look at the Seattle's competition. Cincinnati, Arizona, Cleveland, Atlanta, Tampa Bay, and that Rams win, 30-29 win on a Thursday night. And 6 of their wins have been by 1 possession. That's a very Russell Wilson-centric team. Russell Wilson, if he doesn't get the MVP, I'm quitting from the NFL because he's literally the most valuable player to a team. He brings just so much value to that team. And that's why I kind of want to side with the Seahawks. But you look at Niners versus Seahawks, Niners are just much better team than they are team. And this will be the toughest defense that Wilson faces as well. And we always talk about the Seahawks offensive line. That's going to have to go. They're 28th in Pro Football Focus pass blocking. And go up against this devastating Niners pass rush that has 30 sacks this year. I think Russell Wilson's going to run for his life, and the Niners will cover this spread.
I'm going to take the 49ers as well. I think it's a trench game. A lot of the points that you made, Andre, that Seattle offensive line still isn't very good. Russell Wilson continues to bail them out. But I think the big difference here is how San Francisco gets after the passer. They don't need to blitz. They can rush 4 or whatever it is they're going to do and get after the quarterback, which is how you have to beat Russell Wilson. He's notoriously one of the best quarterbacks versus the blitz. Last week against the blitz, in their game against Tampa Bay, he was 19 of 32 for 221 and 3 touchdowns. This season versus the blitz, he's averaging 8.5 yards per attempt, an 11-1 touchdown to interception rating for 118.2 passer rating. He just shreds apart defenses when you blitz him. That's not a big deal for the 49ers. Only 2 teams have blitzed fewer times this season than the 49ers, so they're able to get after the quarterback without bringing extra pressure. That allows your secondary or your linebackers to sit in coverage and kind of take away some of those big plays. They're probably not going to let anybody get behind them, which has been a huge thing for Seattle this year. So I like that. It's just Jimmy Garoppolo probably takes too many chances, but he's got to be feeling pretty confident right now. I think they'll be able to run on Seattle as well. I'm just, I'm kind of with Andre. I don't know how good Seattle really is. You got to give them credit because their quarterback is just a monster who just is able. He keeps them in every game, but I think this is just one of those, opposition, one of these tests that he's probably not going to be able to do it all by himself. So I think
crazy,
that's something
man.
To keep in mind.
It's crazy. Seahawks, when they were like winning Super Bowls, going to Super Bowls, Wilson was not like this.
No.
He was much
well,
worse,
he's got to be like that now because
like,
the defense isn't anywhere near as good as it was.
But imagine
then.
like he had that defense now.
Well, that's not how it works because of the salary cap. That's the problem, is that you're not able to. Well, you know what I mean?
Or if he was this good then.
Sure, yeah. I mean, then you have if you look like the Chiefs, if they were able to build a defense around, with in addition to Mahomes.
Maybe he doesn't throw interceptions.
Because once Mahomes gets paid, they're screwed too because their defense sucks as it is and not going to have any money.
Are we sure he wasn't this good then too? I mean, I just feel like their identity was a little different.
He could have.
Maybe not this good, but
it's
but
true
he was
because
pretty good.
There were times when he needed to make a play and he did.
Yeah, maybe. But he was always in the bottom of the league in terms of pass attempts. It was very Marshawn Lynch.
Well, he didn't need
offense.
to be. And
that defense would score more than other teams' offense sometimes.
It's amazing though. We're going on like a good solid 3-season run with him playing at this level too, like bailing them out.
It's the same conversation every year too, where like week 6, 7 rolls around, you're like,
impressive.
you know what? If they continue to win a few games, Russell Wilson's getting in the MVP conversation.
Yep.
It happens every year.
It's not even close this year. Don't give me this Lamar Jackson stuff.
No, it's not. It's not. And I wonder if they end up coming back to earth a little bit. But if they finish anywhere near the playoffs, he should get it.
Yeah.
They need this game, though.
Yeah. They do.
I mean, not just in terms of the
division's
relative
over
to the division and the standings right now, but if you look at their final 7 games, 6 of them coming against teams with records currently above 500. So they're starting a pretty difficult stretch here.
And that's the big thing right now in the NFC too, is you need all the wins you can get. Which I mean, Jesus, as I said it, it's like no duh. Yeah. But you look at the game this week. We didn't talk about this one, but like the Packers-Panthers game, you got 2 teams. One of them's 7-2. The other, the Panthers 5-3.
Yeah.
I mean that's.
Well,
we could look back and whoever wins that game gets in the playoffs, and whoever doesn't does it.
Yeah.
Whoever
loses, I mean that's
doesn't.
why when we were talking about the 49ers a few weeks ago, who have they really beaten? Because there was that stretch really at the beginning of the season where it seemed like they were playing nobody, but you need to pile up those wins when you can.
So if the Seahawks lose, they're 7-3. They'd be 3 games back in the division, or 2.5 games back in the division, and they'd be in a spot where they're back on the playoff bubble almost.
Yeah.
So it's nuts. What a conference, man. It's gonna be fun.
It's so many good teams in the NFC.
Yes. All right, let's breeze through locks and upsets. Ricky, who's your lock?
Lock, I'll take the Saints. They giving up 13 points to the Falcons, but the Falcons 2-6 against the spread this season, tied for the worst mark in the NFL.
Saints healthy too.
Saints healthy, firing on all cylinders. Falcons is terrible on the road too. Last 20 road games, 4-16 against the spread. So their defense is, we can't say enough bad things about them, but not very well coached. Just a lot working against the Falcons. So I'll take the Saints.
I'll take the Chargers over the Raiders Thursday night football. And also, you know what they say about the Falcons: dirty bird can't fly with a broken wing.
Yes.
But anyway, Chargers over Raiders, huge AFC West showdown. I think whoever loses this game won't go to the playoffs. LA's pass defense has held opposing quarterbacks under 200 yards 5 times this year, including last week against Aaron Rodgers. So I think this is a team. The yards per play metrics like them. I think they're getting it together. They're finally developing a pass rush. They have 9 sacks over the last 3 games. Melvin Gordon's starting to get more carries. Finally, he's getting into the swing of things. I think last week was a good representation of what the Chargers actually are.
Maybe we were very wrong about that game. We're sitting here. I don't know how we can.
But
figure
acknowledge
it
the fact that we probably would.
Because
it's just.
Shut up! I'm talking to him. I
I
looked right at him. We had the conversation last week on the show.
We sat here.
Ricky and I were like, I don't understand it, but we're probably wrong.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on here and also off the air just talking about what the hell was up with that line. But
I still don't think it was the way it's supposed to go.
I don't get it.
A lot of Badgley field goals. I mean, the defense stepped up.
Yeah, no, and I think this is the thing to remember with good teams when they lose, whether it's the Packers or if you want to talk about the Patriots losing the Ravens, it happens. Even the best teams win 3 to 5 or lose 3 to 5 games every year. I think it's just one of those games. But hey, this is why we're not making
a good
lines.
team.
I think they're okay. It's just a little too inconsistent. But anyway, for my lock, speaking of inconsistent, I'll take the Bears, 2.5-point favorites at home against Detroit. I don't think Detroit's very good. Everyone wants to make excuses for them. They've been screwed by the refs. Well, they've allowed 442 yards per game since week 4, and that's with the supposed defensive mastermind that is Matt Patricia. They're playing the second half of back-to-back road games. I know Chicago sucks, but the Lions have a habit of making even the worst offenses look good. So I think the Bears, if not for 1 week, find a way to get it together and score at least enough points to cover that 2.5 points. Upset, Andre, who you got?
My upset of the week is the Bills over the Browns. I don't know how the Bills are underdogs in this game. Baker Mayfield is trash, 12 interceptions. Cleveland has a -8 turnover differential. Browns defensively, they've allowed a 103.6 passer rating to opposing quarterbacks. Meanwhile, on the flip side, the Bills have allowed a 74.8 passer rating to opposing quarterbacks. It's the 3rd best. I think this Nick. The only way the Browns win this game is if Nick Chubb goes off, which has happened before. It happened against the Ravens. I just don't see it happening. It hasn't happened in the last 5 weeks. I don't see it happening again this week.
Gotta get pucks deep. Ricky, who's your upset?
Well, first of all, it brings me great joy that we exposed the Browns for the frauds that they are before everybody started realizing.
Yeah, that's before
true.
the season.
I don't think any of us were really high. So
I'm gonna. My 2 things were I was down on the Browns and the Bears, and I've never felt so proud of my NFL handicapping because it's that Browns team. They're so bad. They've quit.
And they've been bad in ways that we expected them to be bad.
Yeah, right.
Like it's been areas where
Joker shoes and
well, like the three biggest things coming out of that game were the Joker shoes, Baker Mayfield shaving and dressing like a homeless man, or an extra from, or the guy who auditioned for one of the Home Alone roles, and the fact that one of their safeties was literally threatening to shoot fans and kill them. So that conveniently hides the fact that they got their asses kicked by the Broncos.
I mean, it was a 5-point game.
It wasn't that close.
Brandon Allen coming out, saving the day.
Yikes.
Who's your upset?
And they're still laying points.
I know, yeah.
The hell with that. My upset, at the risk of overreacting to last week, I will take the Panthers over the Packers. 5-point underdogs right now.
I almost used this one too.
I do think that the Packers, another team that sort of has some issues defending the run. Obviously, they're now facing, I guess we could call him maybe the best running back in football the way he's performed this season, Christian McCaffrey. Also, only 4 teams have allowed more receptions than running backs in the Packers this season. So this could be one of those games where McCaffrey very much involved in the passing game in addition to the running game.
That game is going to take 2 hours and 25 minutes to play because I think the Packers are going to run a ton against the Panthers too because Panthers can't stop the run. Cardinals, I got them as my upset. I like the Cardinals.
They're a great underdog pick.
Do you guys know?
Week to week, they stand out to me.
I think the answer is pretty obvious, but do you know which team has turned the ball over the least this season?
Arizona.
It's Arizona. That would have been awesome. It was like, actually, it's not Arizona. They
No,
turned it over the
I've looked
6th
at this.
most. No, yeah, they don't turn it over.
Like 4 turnovers.
Which is also insane considering
0 fumbles.
they have no
fumbles.
That's kind of unlucky. Don't like that. That seems like that's going to get corrected at some point. I hope it's not this week. Which I don't think it will be against the Tampa defense that's not very good. But that's even more impressive when they have a rookie head coach quarterback combination. The rush defense looks better because everyone throws against them. But that's neither here nor there.
Per play though.
Whatever, fine. But they don't need to run against them. And I think they're gonna tear them up. Arizona has the extra rest off Thursday night, whereas Tampa Bay had a physical overtime game at Seattle. So I don't know. I think Arizona does some good things.
So there you go. There's the difference between the Cardinals and the Browns with like a young coach quarterback tandem. It's just you're seeing the mistakes in the overall.
Just nuts, yeah.
Just ridiculousness in Cleveland.
And also, Arizona does not. This is one of their flaws. They don't do a very good job protecting the quarterback, which makes it even more impressive that Kyler Murray's not turning the ball over 3 times a week.
Good for Kyler Murray. I like him.
Yeah, I like Kingsbury too. I think people just dumped on Kingsbury like. He never won at Texas Tech. It's like, well,
Vance
he doesn't
Joseph
have.
is there now too.
Yeah, he doesn't have to recruit.
Here he is.
All right. By the way, road teams last week 1-12 against the spread. Just looking through my numbers. So
just
check out the road teams this week. Yeah. All right, let's get out of here. That was fun.
It really was. It was a pleasure.
We'll be back again next week for week 11 in the NFL season.
Any random bets?
There's not a lot. College basketball starts Tuesday night.
UMass having a big year this year?
No, they're not going to be very good. Be better than the football team. UMass football team, maybe one of the worst football teams in Division I college football history.
Because they lost Andy Isabella.
Yeah, that's true. Andy Isabella. Start using him. There you go. Arizona, big week this week for the Cardinals in Tampa. So, all right, we'll be back next week. See you then.